My journey as a conductor started when I was about 9 years of age, and my father was a stereo hi-fi buff, so there was always music in the household. But it was a particular Sunday, the TV was on CBS, and on came a Leonard Bernstein New York Philharmonic Young People's Concert. It just captured me in such a way that since that time, I've not wanted to do anything else but conduct. However, from a 9-year-old to becoming a professional conductor is a long one. And what one has to do is first master an instrument. And I was a flutist, in my younger years, and that was my instrument through college. But I really wanted to study conducting, and that was my focus. So my bachelor's was in music education. I thought if I couldn't make it as a professional conductor, I would teach orchestra in a high school. But I did go on to get a master's degree at the Peabody Institute of Music in Baltimore, where my focus was orchestral conducting. It was many years of apprenticeships, being an assistant conductor in Richmond, Virginia, in Annapolis, Maryland, in Rochester, New York. And then I finally got my own music directorship in Erie, Pennsylvania, and that was now 30 years ago. And for the last 26 years, I've been the music director of the Austin Symphony as the primary conductor. It's an extraordinary job. I never am bored in my work. And I have this wonderful ability to not only work in Austin with the orchestra there, but once in a while travel to different cities. And through my friendship with Maria Fleury and then meeting her husband Henry, I ended up becoming the conductor here in Prescott. And I didn't know Prescott at all. I've never visited Prescott or many areas around here. Wouldn't say I was even familiar with Phoenix that much. But when I got this position, I fell in love with the area, and I've enjoyed my 2 concerts annually here in Prescott and trying to share the kind of music that I do everywhere with the audiences here in Prescott. The programs are no different. What I do in Austin is something I would do here in Prescott. Well, I decided to call this program Old Wine or Classic Wine in New Bottles, primarily because the outer works on this program are works by 20th century, well, the first work is by a 20th century composer reorchestrating music from the late 1500s. So these are very, very old dances from the late 16th century that were rewritten in a way or put into modern dress by this British composer Peter Warlock. The final work on the program is by Edvard Grieg, who was a Romantic composer, but he calls the piece the Holberg Suite. And Ludwig Holberg was considered the father of Danish and Norwegian literature. He was a playwright, an author, and Holberg lived during Bach's time. So Grieg wrote his suite in the manner of Bach. If Bach lived during the Romantic era, how would he write music? So we have, again, very old dances from Bach's time put into a Romantic language. So old wine, new bottles. And then, of course, on this program, we also have a work by Bach, his Violin Concerto in E major, which our concertmaster Katie McLinn is going to be the soloist. And then we have 2 pieces by modern composers. Miroslav Skorik was considered one of the great composers from the Ukraine, and I wanted to acknowledge Ukraine on this particular program. And he wrote some music for a TV series, and one of the little pieces that he wrote for this series was called Just Simple Melody. But it's become so popular since, I think, the early 80s when he wrote this piece. A lot of people think that this is a folk tune from Ukraine, but it is one of the most popular pieces of Ukrainian music, and I wanted to play it on this program. And then finally, we have a piece by a living American composer, Jessie Montgomery, who has catapulted to stardom over the last 10 years or so. She's a brilliant violinist. She's played chamber music in her own string quartet, and then she wrote music for her quartet and then expanded that music to string orchestra size. And we're doing a piece called Strum, which is appropriate for a stringed instrument. And some of the pieces played with the violin or the viola as if they're playing guitar or ukulele. So they strum, they play it regularly with bows, and there's a lot of plucking going on in this piece too. Jessie's a brilliant composer, and she's currently the composer in residence with the Chicago Symphony. So this particular program has music from current times. It's a very contemporary piece in Jessie Montgomery's, all the way to music that was originally written in the late 1500s. So there's an incredible array of styles, of compositional feats. The musicians in the string orchestra play with all sorts of unusual techniques, some common techniques. The music hits all sorts of styles. There's a lot of exciting music, a lot of wonderfully romantic music, pensive music. I can't imagine anyone not being pleased with the music and the variety on this program.